My boyfriend belittled my biggest achievement, so I snapped at him.
Oh, wow.
Time for a new boyfriend, right?
Might be.
Last week, I, female 41, took my boyfriend Tony, male 42, 5 years together, out on a date to celebrate a huge career milestone. Since 2014, I've been working towards a very comprehensive project from concept to reality. What would that be? I took all the steps, got into a better situation 6 years ago, and I got commitment from investors to make it into its next phase. Important to the story. We met in college, and I've always considered him smart and a bit of my dream guy. I thought we would have a quiet dinner, reaffirm being there for each other, and then go have spicy sleep. Instead, I had to hear him ranting, saying how unrealistic I am, that I'm biting more than I can chew off. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
That's so mean.
Uh-huh.
Sounds like he can't handle a girl boss.
Yeah, I mean, some insecurity there.
Yeah. What kind of insecurity would you say is here so far?
Let's dive a little bit more into the story.
Okay,
A little more context before I can really diagnose.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to make this too long. So the whole thing sounded like, who do you think you are? From him. I had to explain there's no way I'm trying to bite off too much. I've built my credibility, have worked very hard to establish a decent track record, and acquired a solid associates to bring additional standing for our project. Still, he made very derogatory remarks, the kind of ones he does in disbelief or chronic disapproval. And nothing is going to happen, that I'm stuck and I compromise myself, for which he is concerned. I am mad at myself for not saying anything on the spot. Instead, I've been overthinking. He and I had plans to get married, raise our kids in a blended family, and grow old together. He didn't congratulate me. He didn't even give me a celebratory kiss. I haven't cried yet because I'm numb. The things he said struck a chord in a bad way. So basically, he thinks that I've been lucky. I did talk to him about it after I went to my place, and he doubled down with suspicions of cheating on my part. Oh my gosh.
Where did that even come from? Wasn't this a work-related thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever you and your partner, gets a big promotion at work, what's your initial reaction?
Happy for him. I mean, if you see yourself as part of a team, his wins are my wins are his wins. So there really shouldn't be any competition in a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
They've been together for 5 years?
5 years.
Okay. And she works in possibly tech, got a large investment into her project, probably a round of funding.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I'm thinking.
And he's saying that she got lucky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like luck. And she's been working on this project for, was it 6 or 7 years?
6 years.
6 years.
That's a long time.
Lucky over 6 years.
That's pretty hard work.
Come on.
Yeah.
By the way, this comes from Mean Tackle 93, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Riley.
Hey, I'm Casey.
And I'm Carly, and today we have a very special guest joining us. We have Casey Lee, founder of Life Partner by Casey Lee, and a women's dating strategist based in Laguna Beach. She helps high-achieving women attract emotionally available, commitment-ready partners using a psychology-based, intentional approach to dating. One she used to meet her own husband in just 3 months. Now, through her Husband Attraction Mastery program, Casey helps women break unhealthy dating patterns and choose partners with clarity and confidence. We're excited to have you.
Yes, we have never had a dating coach on before. Yeah, so
Excited to be here.
good. We're going to be getting so many good tidbits from you for our ladies here in the chat. And by the way, we're here to give good advice goofily. We do have an expert, so she's going to help us. I'm going to be goofy. And if you guys have anything you want to add, please add them in the comments down below. So Tony is an engineer. So real quick, we got Tony, who's an engineer, OP, which is our author, who's seems like she's killing it in the workforce. They're both in their 40s. He says there's no way I could get this far. I asked if he's mad because my project would also include his industry, which he's very proud of, and he denied it. This is like an ice bucket to my head. We tried to talk 2 nights ago at his place, and I left feeling worse. He says he wants a partner to enjoy life together, that I'm too old to dedicate myself to a massive project because I should have done it earlier. I don't understand. Since years ago, he wanted a successful woman for himself. Interesting. He said I needed to make up my mind between my reality, which is our tangible relationship, and my perceived new developments. I reminded him about what he said, and that his words about me cheating or sleeping my way through my careers was especially disrespectful because he knows I had a bad situation early on at some point and was concerned for my safety. He says I was being manipulative. Oh my gosh. No sympathy whatsoever right here. I couldn't even continue this conversation if I was with him.
Wow, those are some crazy revelations.
The thing that confuses me was early on, he said, I want a successful woman.
Mm-hmm.
What's this new thing here? It sounds like he wants someone, when he says the thing that kind of like got my mind to go crazy was, I want someone to enjoy my life with. Sounds like he kind of wants someone that's not as ambitious towards their career.
Okay, so it sounds like he has a little bit of anxious attachment style. Like he's afraid of being abandoned by her, by this new project, right? So for 6 years, she had been working towards something, but there was always a chance that she may have failed. So he didn't quite show his true colors yet. But the moment she got a big investment or a big round of funding, all of a sudden he's fearing like, oh my gosh, she may leave me, or she may be so consumed by this project. And that fear of abandonment, that need for reassurance is very typical of an anxious attachment style.
Oh my gosh. I did not know that was a style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So have you heard of the 4 attachment styles?
No.
Okay. So there are 4 attachment styles that most people fall into. And the first is the healthiest style. That's secure, healthy attachment. That's the style that everyone wants to work towards. And that's when you feel comfortable with yourself. You feel like you have self-worth. You feel that you can love someone else fully. You're not afraid of vulnerability. You can handle conflict in a very healthy way, and you can communicate clearly. The other 3 insecure, unhealthy attachment styles, over 50% of adults fall into.
Oh, goodness.
I
probably fall into one of these.
I know I did too. A lot of people do. And it really springs from your childhood, your upbringing, right? So if you grew up in some kind of unhealthy, emotionally unsafe environment in some way that impacted you, and then later was reinforced by your adult relationships, you will tend to develop an unhealthy, insecure attachment. So the 3 types of those are anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, and disorganized attachment.
I've never heard of disorganized before. The other 2 are familiar, but what's disorganized?
Disorganized is a combination of both anxious and avoidant. And another term for it is called fearful avoidant. That's a synonym for disorganized.
Yeah.
But to kind of walk you through real quickly, like what are the traits of each type of insecure, unhealthy attachment? So anxious attachment is when you fear abandonment,
Okay.
when you need a lot of validation or reassurance, and when you also have a tendency to chase after emotionally unavailable partners. And then avoidant attachment is when you fear vulnerability. And so when you feel like you're getting too close to somebody emotionally, or when there's conflict and you can't get through to somebody, your instinct may be to shut down or run. And then the third is disorganized, which is a combination of both anxious and avoidant, which has a very much of a push-pull behavior.
Yeah.
So you want love, you want to get close, but then once you get close, you get afraid, and then you push away.
Oh my gosh. I'm just looking back at all of the things. I think I'm in the disorganized part there. But since being on the podcast, I feel like I'm more in the secure part. But I do remember, like, if I'd have like a conversation or something, and I feel like I couldn't get through to someone, I would just shut down immediately. But you're saying this person has an anxious attached style, correct?
It sounds like it, just based on the context of this story, because he is fearing abandonment, which is why the moment something great happens for her career that will monopolize a lot of her time, all of a sudden he's saying, like, you're not prioritizing our relationship, you're not prioritizing our future goals. And he's seeking that reassurance and that validation from her. And then, that's obviously an insecure, unhealthy way of communicating. I don't know if he's recognizing that behavior.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. Oh my goodness. He called me last night like nothing happened. I broke up with him and told him to look in the mirror and ask himself why he was dumped by all of his exes. He said I was using very personal things that he told me against him and that it was disappointing. I texted him back and said I'm not responsible for his reactions when he was so inconsiderate. By the way, you can listen to more considerate stories just like this on your favorite podcast platform. Just search up OK Storytime on iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. We have a little bit, I think, I'm seeing if there's an update for this person, but I mean, you would break up with this person, right?
I'm almost curious, like, whether or not she saw these red flags earlier on in her 6 years, because 6 years is a very long time to all of a sudden have this epiphany that this behavior is coming out of nowhere. There must have been signs earlier than now that perhaps she may have overlooked.
Yeah, a lot of times when we read stories like this, they'll post it, and then in their update, it's like, oh yeah, this red flag, this red flag, this red flag, because they're like actually taking a second and a beat, and it's like, oh my gosh, I was being mistreated throughout in these so many other areas. So it probably will hit her in like a week or so. But that's usually how it goes, is like one bad conversation, then, oh my gosh, the red flags. So OP continues, he has been asking me to apologize since he woke up. He sounds weird and a bit depressed, and he says I used painful situations in his past for leverage. His ex-wife divorced him, his ex-fiancée cheated, and left him before the wedding. I don't feel like I owe him anything. I didn't mention anything specifically, but I just said it's his fault that his women run for the hill, figuratively. Am I the a-hole for refusing? Although I think this affected him mentally. But didn't he also say something very personal that happened to you and accuse that whenever he was like, oh, you were just sleeping your way to the top?
Yeah, where did that come from? I mean, like, was there solid evidence or any inclination that she did, or is that just a defensive behavior that he just threw out so that she could stop accusing him of his behavior, perhaps?
I think so. And the way the conversation went is he accused her first and then said that and brought up her past because she like was harmed early on, and then it went back and forth. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy that the second the finger's pointed at him, he's like, whoa, wait, you can't do that. You can't use my personal things against me. Oh my goodness, these people. We have an edit. He works the same job since he graduated college with a very well-recognized company that comes with status and stability. He has access to nice things, and it's not like my project will affect his company. Yeah, that is so weird. So what would you say is the reason he acted this way? Or like, is because of his attachment style?
I think so. I mean, like, it seems like the context based on all the information she shared in this post, he was abandoned by his ex-wife, or he was divorced, and then he was abandoned by his ex-fiancée. So there's a pattern of him being abandoned by people that he loved, people that he thought he could stand beside for a very long time. And perhaps this is just another reminder that the people that he loves will leave him, because obviously starting a new venture, a startup, is very time consuming. It takes up majority of your energy and your time. And I would think that it does spring to his anxious attachment style that is clearly unresolved because he's gone through multiple women and he still has this attachment style that he possibly unrecognized, and he's not aware of it right now.
Someone mentioned actual drop bear says maybe he's taking the red pill. That could, do you know what the red pill is?
I don't.
Oh, goodness. Carly, how would you explain the red pill?
I don't even know how I'd start to explain that. Basically, just like, has he been hearing from other people, like a lot of, I feel just like pro-man things is the best way to put it. Like, men are better than women and stuff like that. And if you get red pilled, it's gotten into your head so much that you believe it now.
Yeah, it's like this whole, goodness, it's like Reddit, like the toxic areas of Reddit, or like 4chan, and it's like women haters kind of thing.
Like incel stuff popping up.
Yeah.
Toxic masculinity, misogyny.
Like, to the max, and it's just like all they're hearing. So then they get red pilled because then they're like, well, if all these men are saying it, like.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I really am curious, like, what has happened in these 6 years, and there has to have been a pattern before this. You know, like, usually attachment styles really come out during conflict. That's when you really see them in full force, because during conflict, that's when you feel the most vulnerable. When you're with someone you love, you've hit a wall, you've hit a roadblock, you're not able to get through to them or communicate with them in an effective way. And then therefore you feel like your heart's just laying there on the line. Yeah. And you're seeing how they respond to your insecurities.
Yeah. I'm assuming you have a secure attachment style, but before you found your way to that, what kind of attachment style did you have?
Yeah. I had an avoidant attachment style.
Oh.
Yeah. So, your attachment style is very heavily influenced by your upbringing, right? So, observing your parents, your caregivers, the kind of home environment that you lived in, and then is later reinforced by your adult relationships. So growing up, I witnessed, a lot of unhealthy relationship dynamics between my parents, and I developed avoidant tendencies. I was afraid to fall in love with the wrong person because I knew that they would hurt me. I was afraid to truly trust someone because I've seen the pain that someone that you love can inflict upon you. And so I knew that I had these trust issues. I didn't know how bad they were until I was dating my husband. He was the first man that I really saw a real future with.
Wow.
Yeah. And so even after like 15 years of dating, I had been in relationships, but none to the extent where I was serious enough to seeing a real future with someone. And so it was only until he was the one actually that pointed out some of my conflict management skills that were underdeveloped while we were dating.
Yeah.
And that I had the tendency to shut down and run away when things got hard. And he was the one that encouraged me to work on them, because otherwise, how do you grow from that when someone is constantly shutting down and running away when things get hard? And so I really committed to therapy, and, with his encouragement and then just seeing how safe his love was, it really did help me develop into a secure attachment, which is what I have now.
I love that, how safe his love was. Wow. How did you take that whenever he first pointed it out? Or how did he bring that to you?
I mean, it had happened over and over again, and I had recognized it as well, because he, pointed it out to me that, hey, like the way that you keep fighting is not healthy. You can't keep running away when things get hard. How are we supposed to grow our relationship if you keep doing this? We talk about building a future. We talk about marriage, show me that you can actually work through these roadblocks. And so that's when I realized, if I don't work through these things, I may lose this incredible man that I have been waiting for 15 years to find. I can't keep doing the same patterns I had been doing before. And so, he and I are both really growth oriented and really committed to evolving in our relationship. And so that's kind of when I really hunkered down.
Goals? Oh my gosh, I want to be like you guys. That's so awesome.
Thank you. But I will say that don't wait until you find the right partner to heal your attachment style, because if he wasn't patient enough, if he wasn't kind and empathetic and compassionate enough, I could have lost him.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to wait until you found the right person, risk it all, and then realize he was the one that got away.
Oh, and then you're like, so many movies about that. I was watching The Great Gatsby. That's kind of like his whole arc is like Daisy, the one that got away, and he's doing everything he can to relive the past. No. Could not do that. We do have some questions for you. A question I just thought of is, when you are working with your clients, it sounds like, is this one of the things you work on them with, or what are some other aspects of their personalities that you work on them with?
Usually when a new client comes to me, the women that I work with are naturally very growth oriented, which is why they seek mentorship from someone who's experienced in my field. And so when they come to me, first we go through her dating patterns. She walks me through her dating history. What are the struggles that she keeps encountering, whether it's not being able to get past the third date, not being able to attract quality men that she wants to build a future with, or, either getting ghosted or finding herself in situationships. And then from there, once we kind of unveil her old dating patterns, then I'm able to assess what could be her attachment pattern. And we kind of talk through that. Usually, most people over 50% of adults have developed some kind of unhealthy attachment pattern. So whether anxious, avoidant, or disorganized. And then from there, she's able to come to these revelations like, wow, maybe it's because of my anxious attachment style. That's why I keep chasing after emotionally unavailable men.
Yeah.
Or that's why, I keep feeling like, for example, I do work with widows, and many of them do have anxious attachments because they have, their husband who they loved left them.
Yeah.
And so they fear that someone who I love is going to leave me and leave me vulnerable. And so once we identify that, then we kind of determine how deep is her trauma. And either I recommend that she seeks therapy before we work together or alongside our work together so that she can heal and heal the subconscious that could be holding her back or repeating these same old patterns. And then from there, once she's gotten to a better point of healing, then we work towards skill building and we work through learning the dating and healthy relationship skills that are required to navigate the dating stages with ease.
Yeah.
And then also how to learn what your non-negotiables are in a partner, because that's the only way that you can target him and therefore attract him.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty comprehensive right there. But with someone that has a growth mindset, that's probably like, oh, I love this. This is perfect for me. So our first question from our audience is, what is your favorite couple that got together through your work? And why does their story stand out to you?
I do work with widows. So one story that really touched me was a widow that came to me. She had lost her husband 7 years prior. She was a single mother to a young son, and she had experienced multiple losses. So before her husband passed away, her parent also passed away.
Oh, wow.
And so that compounding grief that, points to an anxious attachment tendency where she feels like the people I love will leave me. And so she described dating men who would ghost her.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of points to chasing after emotionally unavailable men as well. So after, we started working together, she also was seeking therapy alongside us coaching, and she found like a widow support group to help her, find like-minded people who have gone through the same level of loss. And then from there, we really worked on skill building. So from the very beginning, and I'm a huge advocate of online dating, by the way. I know a lot of people have bad things to say about online dating. It is honestly one of the best ways to attract a quality partner. It is one of the most efficient ways.
Back, I think like 120 years ago, I read that the way people would meet their partners was through dancing. And like they get together and they do dancing or whatever. That's how they met like partners. But everyone like seems to hate online dating. Why would you be such a big advocate of it?
Yeah, I think that it's mainly because most of us were not taught how to date and build healthy relationships, right?
Yeah.
If you look at our school system is really equipped to teach us the skills to find a job and to contribute to society professionally. But a huge other part of our life is our romantic partnerships. And many times we're just wading through this dating maze through trial and error, repeated heartbreak. And that's why so many people feel confused about modern dating, is because there was no formal way for us to educate ourselves and learn the skills on how to date and navigate through the dating stages with ease, with confidence.
Wow. I never even thought of that. That's crazy. Yeah. We do need a school. I feel like my parents did a pretty good job because I grew up Christian in a Christian household, and my mother was very, very adamant that anytime I talk to a girl or any girl that I'm interested in, that I treat her like my sister. And she was like,
and that helped you with dating?
I know that sounds weird.
Don't hold hands with your sister. Just
yeah,
kidding.
that kind of thing. Don't be kissing your sister. That's what she would say.
No.
Yeah, and that put fear in me, and it took me like maybe till I was like 16 to actually kiss a girl because
you're kissing your sister.
Yeah, that's what she did. But one of the biggest things she told me was always be friends with her first before she's your girlfriend. And I've kind of like made this motto of when I'm with my partner, if there's ever anything that like may be conflicting because I'm her boyfriend, I'm your friend first. Let's talk about that, and then I'll be your boyfriend, and then you can stack up to that to whatever. But yeah, that's so crazy. What would you say like the U.S. government, in your perfect world, what could the U.S. government do, or like anything to do to implement like, I guess, a healthier dating style?
Just basic knowledge about how to find a compatible life partner, because, physical intimacy, a lot of it is driven by instinct, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, a lot of people get hurt when they enter into physical intimacy too soon. They emotionally attach with the wrong person, and they end up dating them for far longer than they should. So really the skill of learning how to date for a compatible life partner, I feel like, yeah, there should be courses on this. There should be classes, but because relationships are so complex, because everyone has a different attachment style, that it really does take a long time to teach these skills. I mean, not a long time, but it takes time to teach these skills. So in my program, which is the Husband Attraction Mastery, it takes about a month to learn the dating and relationship skill set for you to really feel confident. But to kind of go back to your first question, or the audience's first question about like my favorite story with the widow and my favorite client story. So to kind of talk you through the framework of how to learn these kinds of skill sets. So first, she really understands herself. She learns what's important to her, her values, her lifestyle, her future long-term life goals. And then from there, she's able to come up with a list of non-negotiable traits that she needs to have in a life partner.
And that would look like, or what's like the most common one?
Very common ones are kind, empathetic, compassionate, loyal, patient. But also you really want to look into backgrounds, right? Like if you know that you want a life partner from a certain cultural standpoint or a certain faith-based standpoint, then that should be part of your non-negotiables. If there is, for example, if you want to have kids, if you want to have marriage, if you don't believe in prenups, these are part of your non-negotiable traits that you need to be very specific about. And that requires really knowing yourself well. Otherwise, you'll come up with these broad terms, which most people do: kind, empathetic, patient, loyal. That's the very baseline of what you want your life partner to be. So then after she comes up with this non-negotiable traits, then we are able to curate a dating profile to target specifically that man. Because what most people end up doing, and why most people hate online dating, is that they curate a dating profile to attract attention from the masses.
So sounds like you're creating hunters.
We're targeting very specific people, right? Because the psychology of a casual dating man or someone who just wants casual connections will be very different from the psychology of a man who's ready for marriage, having a family, kids. That requires a whole different level of thinking, of commitment, of readiness, of emotional availability. And so when you're targeting those types of men, your profile will look different, will speak differently, will naturally weed out the casual men, because he'll look at your profile and be like, oh, you know, I don't think she's down for a one-night stand, you know, and it will speak to the men who are like, oh, she's really talking about building a family, wanting a life partner, you know, building a meaningful relationship that will last the test of time. So once we curate that dating profile, then right off the bat, she's able to attract quality men that she never was able to before.
Yeah.
Because before, she was attracting attention from the masses. So she was filtering through casual men, hookups, you know, men who, and then out of that group, then she has to find the most compatible out of these incompatible men. So right off the bat, she's already not hitting her target.
Yeah.
And then she will find herself repeating the cycle of attracting emotionally unavailable men who don't want what she wants, men who don't have the core compatibility that she wants, and then she'll keep encountering heartbreak.
Oh my God. And can we like say her name, or can we make up a fake name for her?
Lucy.
Lucy? Okay, Lucy.
Let's call her Lucy.
So you get Lucy, you get her non-negotiables, you get all this stuff. She hits the day, and the first thing that she does after she gets all that is that she hits the dating apps, right?
Well, I mean, concurrently with skill building in other areas. Like she's got to learn how to be an eloquent conversationalist. She's got to learn how to be an attractive and desirable in-person dater, right? So she's got to learn those confidence building strategies and what to expect when you're conversing with men online, what to expect, how to navigate the first, second, third date without feeling awkward, without second guessing yourself, without making the man uncomfortable. You know, these are all skills that you learn in order to navigate these stages with ease and not trip up yourself.
Gotcha. So she's on the dating profiles, learning. And Lucy, how did she find her life partner?
Yeah, so then, you know, after she was able to start attracting quality men, then she would have learned the skill set to filter out the wrong ones quickly, which is something that a lot of women struggle with. They second guess themselves. They see red flags, but they don't actually act upon them. And they keep giving more and more chances to the wrong men. And so she's able to filter them out quickly. When she's able to find one that is most compatible with her, that she feels comfortable entering a relationship with, then she embarks on a healthy relationship, and she's able to connect with him on a level that she wasn't able to with prior men.
Yeah.
And he is wanting the things that she wants because she's choosing based off of core compatibility, whereas most people are choosing purely based off of chemistry,
Yeah.
which is short term.
Interesting. So compatibility and chemistry. With compatibility, that looks like things in common, values in common. And what would chemistry kind of just look like?
Yeah. So a healthy relationship needs both chemistry and core compatibility. So chemistry is when you're physically attracted to someone and when you have a strong emotional connection with them. That's when you're like, wow, I have that spark. I have that something that's drawing me to this person. That's chemistry. And that will take you into the infatuation phase. But what happens after the infatuation phase, after that passion eventually regulates? Then you really look at the substance of the relationship, and that falls to core compatibility. So there are three main components of core compatibility. It's aligned life values, aligned lifestyle, and aligned long-term life goals. So those three things are the strongest predictors of long-term happiness and success in relationships.
Oh, wow. Dang. So with Lucy, she's weeding out the men, finding the ones that are compatible. How many dates did she go on before she was able to find the one?
I think she was dating for, I want to say 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah, before she found someone that she wanted to be in a relationship with and really see where it could go.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of discernment, right? Is that you need to be patient, but also B, if you're dating the right way, dating is not exhausting or draining. It's fun, actually. It's light. It's enjoyable. It's an adventure. So, and on top of that, she's dating quality men. So she's not dating men who are ghosting her, who are misleading her, who are, not wanting the same things as her. And she's learning not to chase after these men. Part of learning the skill set is knowing when to stop projecting a fantasy onto somebody, because a lot of women, they, first of all, kind of rewinding a little bit, right? Most people learn about dating and relationships through these avenues. It's mainly watching our caregivers, our parents' dynamics, the media, which is like TV and movies, and then peer anecdotes or peer observations, and then personal trial and error. So these are the main ways that people learn. And, a lot of us grew up in unhealthy homes, unhealthy relationship dynamics, and we absorb that. So that off the bat kind of sets you off on a disadvantage. And then if you're learning through the media, like rom-coms, Disney movies.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, Disney movies, don't even get started on that.
Yeah, I mean, those are great to watch because they're dramatized and they're exaggerated. But if you actually take those concepts and apply them to your real life, you're going to experience a lot of heartbreak, because those movies and TV shows tend to show an impossible situation, and then someone has blind faith in love or blind hope, and then miraculously, with enough hard work or effort, it becomes a fairy tale. But a lot of times it doesn't show that whether or not these two people were compatible in the first place. Because if you're chasing after someone who's incompatible, yeah, you might be in a relationship, but it will eventually end in heartbreak. You will eventually get your heart broken. It doesn't show that. And then, of course, peer anecdotes. A lot of us are kind of like the blind leading the blind. You're just kind of hearing what your friends have to say, hearing about their dating horror stories, trying to learn from that. So going back to Lucy, she learned to stop projecting fantasies onto men. She learned to observe who they were clearly. She learned to date multiple men simultaneously. That's a way to prevent premature fixation or premature obsession on any one person.
Yeah.
Right? Spreading out your energy, spreading out your focus. And then also, if you're someone who tends to emotionally attach very quickly after physical intimacy, then practicing that restraint. Waiting until you have found a compatible boyfriend who wants commitment, who wants to build a real life with you, and then entering into a safe relationship where you can allow your emotional connection to deepen after intimacy.
Yeah.
All of these strategies are what prevent you from getting your heart broken.
Yeah, because you really, when you're getting out there finding a life partner, you really gotta like embrace the toughness of it. And it sounds like these strategies are like a perfect way of, kind of dodging those things so you're not heartbroken like every other weekend.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, a big part of finding your life partner is protecting that optimism, protecting that hope and that belief that true love exists, true love is real, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you keep getting your heart broken again and again, or you keep entering and exiting marriages again and again, you will then become one of those cynics who sometimes you hear like, true love doesn't exist. It's
Yeah.
a lie. Don't ever get married. Marriage will, slowly drain your energy and you'll be like a empty shell, right? You hear those people who are so cynical in love and you don't want to become those people.
Yeah, I see. I'm gonna get at our chat here. I do see sometimes with our chat or people that watch our show, they're at a point where like, oh, dating's just not for me, or like things didn't happen because I believe they've been through so many like bad relationships or bad things that they've been through where like their hope's gone. And you really, is it hard to get your hope back together after being like heartbroken for so long?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's been through a bad breakup knows how emotionally destabilizing that is, how painful that is to your emotional and physical well-being. So heartbreaks, you need to take time to heal. You need to take time to feel comfortable being alone, finding other passions and happiness in your life apart from a romantic relationship. I honestly feel that the people who are able to find their life partner quicker feel comfortable being on their own. They really have connected to their inner self. They feel grounded and authentic in who they are. And they go in with the belief that if I'm able to find my life partner, amazing. But if not, then at least I could still build a fulfilling life on my own.
Wow.
Right? Instead of chasing after relationship after relationship and fearing being alone or fearing, sitting in that aloneness, I guess,
Yeah.
right? Being single. There are a lot of people like that.
In life, I have seen some people where them and their partner are like two peas in a pot, like each one of them are each other's halves. And then they see other people where they're like two individuals, but each person's sort of like the whipped cream and the cherry on top. Like they just make life a little bit sweeter. And I find that those people that are like two individual things and they just make each other's life sweeter last longer than the ones that are like two peas in a pod or like half and half. Because I've seen like two breakups recently where they're like two peas in a pod and they were together for like 5 years, 4 years, maybe 6 years. But then something just like it happened and it comes out that they were like very codependent on each other or like, things like that came out of it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're so comfortable with someone and you have ingrained your life so deeply with them, sometimes you stay in relationships just out of familiarity.
Yeah.
Not necessarily based on the fact that you both share long-term life goals together, but it's more like you're coasting. And a lot of times I hear about these kind of relationships where people stay for 6 years and then they break up. And it's mainly because either they were first dating casually, right? They were just dating for companionship. They hadn't learned how to date with intention. They didn't have an end goal in mind per se. They were just looking for someone to spend time with, companionship, be physically intimate with. But if someone is truly ready to find their life partner, dating with intention will get you there much faster.
Yeah.
Right? You will find your partner, within less than a year.
Yeah. Wow. So Lucy was able to find her partner within 8 months. How are they now? What are they looking like today?
Yeah, the last time I spoke to her, she was engaged.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Congrats to her.
Yeah. And so, I'm so proud of her and I'm so honored that, she entrusted me with guiding her in such a emotionally raw journey for her, right? For someone to have experienced such profound loss that no one really, you wouldn't want to wish that on anyone. And then for her to grow and develop and gain that confidence and that belief that I do deserve love. Even though I'm in my 50s and I have a child, it's not too late for me, that I can still find a right partner for me. So she found a man who is a single father, was, willing to blend their families together, raise their children together. And she finally found that joy and peace and love again that she hadn't experienced for almost a decade.
Oh my gosh. I had a question for you about that. Oh my goodness, where did it go? But that is so awesome for Lucy. It was a good one. Oh my gosh.
It's okay. It might come back to you.
Hopefully. Dang it. I got to stop mulling over it. But I have the next question for you. What should women stop blaming themselves for when dating doesn't work out?
Yeah, I mean, women should stop blaming themselves for not knowing what they were never taught, right? So it kind of goes back to how we learn about dating and relationships. We weren't taught formally how to navigate through dating in a very confident, calm way, how to date with intention, how to find a compatible life partner. We weren't taught these things. So don't beat yourself up. What I would then focus on is focusing on skill building, right? Learn these skills, learn how to be a good dater, learn how to attract quality men, learn how to build a healthy relationship from the ground up.
Yeah.
I always tell the women I work with that success in dating comes down to 3 things. First is preparation, right? Learning the skill sets that you were never taught. Second is authenticity, knowing who you truly are, staying true to your core and not shape-shifting to become someone else just to feel chosen.
Yeah.
And then third is your intuition, trusting your intuition, trusting that what you bring to the table, who you are at your core, your authentic self, is good enough to attract the kind of man that you want to build a life with, and then stop second-guessing yourself. So once you feel prepared, once you are confident in who you are and your authentic self, you then trust your intuition. So you'll see the red flags much sooner. You'll realize which men are wrong and exit those interactions much quicker than giving too many chances to the wrong men. And then that will take you down the path of the right man much, much sooner.
I found out my question while you were talking. Are you ever like your client's therapist at times? Where you guys are like getting tea or like getting on the reel and then you're like, okay, this is what we can work with.
I mean, I would say that therapy is more so about healing past wounds and healing the subconscious. And my work strategy coaching is more so identifying attachment patterns, identifying old dating patterns, and then finding a plan forward. So, and then building a skill set to find that plan forward, right?
Yeah.
So if someone has deep emotional trauma, whether it's something that grief, profound loss, I could help to some extent, but really that work needs to be from a therapist to really work on the subconscious, the root cause. And then from there, once she's regained a certain level of wholeness again, where she feels like she's more grounded, she's on more steady footing, that's when my work can really take off.
Wow. I've never thought of a therapist working solely on just past things. I guess that is really what they do. And you're forward therapist, maybe like preparing people for the future.
Yeah.
I gotta play with that. So I have our next question. When clients first come to you, what specific situation usually pushes them to finally ask for help?
Usually it's a repeated cycle of disappointment and frustration.
Losing that hope.
Yes. Well, losing that hope, but also recognizing that even though I'm going through these different men, it's the same outcome, right? I'm still ending up not any closer to finding a meaningful relationship. I'm still attracting emotionally unavailable men. And I'm confused as to why this keeps happening. And that recognition is what really propels change, right? Is recognizing that this is a pattern and I want to get out of this cycle. So many times it's, women who can't get past the 3rd date and they don't know why. Or women who keep finding themselves in situationships or in committed relationships with emotionally unavailable men who are not able to truly be vulnerable with them. Or they can't attract quality men and they don't know why. They don't know where these men are hiding, why she can't find them, and how to get there. And so it's usually that recognition, like there's a cycle, I want to stop it, and I want to find guidance and a mentorship. And that's usually when they seek me out. And usually, we work through the dating patterns, recognizing the old dating patterns that she wants to break, recognizing her attachment style, and then working on her dating profile. And through there, she's able to make progress a whole lot faster than when she was navigating it alone.
Yeah. The next question I have for you is, How do clients begin to recognize that they are stuck in the unavailable man cycle?
Yeah, they usually find themselves trying really hard. So I tend to see trends like overgiving, sacrificing too much of her needs, shrinking herself so that she's easier to get along with.
Yeah, to feel desirable.
Yes. Or trying to bland out her personality so that he'll be more attracted to whatever is the commonly attractive thing, right?
Oh.
Right? So in essence, she loses herself in the process.
Yeah.
So she'll change who she is and shapeshift to become someone that will win him over.
Oh.
Because either he doesn't want commitment, he doesn't want to define the relationship, or he doesn't want marriage. And she'll think that if I try hard enough, I'll change his mind.
Little project.
A fixer-upper. Right. So that's really dangerous. These are the types of tropes that you see in movies, you see in TV shows, right? That if you try hard enough, you'll get the man or you'll get the girl. But first, the only way that effort will get you to a life partner, a compatible life partner, is if there's first alignment, right? You have to look at not just chemistry, which is what most people overly focus on, is whether you're physically attracted to somebody or you have that spark through emotional connection. And they don't put as much emphasis on life values, your lifestyle, your long-term life goals.
Yeah, the long game.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you date with intention, you can weave these questions very casually in a first date, right? It's different when you're casually dating. People will be like, whoa, that's too serious. I'm not going to ask those questions. But when you're at the stage in life where you're ready to get married, you're ready to have a family, you just are looking for the right person. And that includes men and women, right? There are men out there looking for the exact same thing. Like, I'm ready for that next stage in life.
Yeah.
And so you can very casually weave in on a first date, like, hey, like in the next few years, if you meet the right person, like, is marriage and kids like something that you're interested in?
Yeah. I always ask on the first date, I find a way to do it, is how many kids do you want?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I did that to Angie, and she, my current girlfriend, she was like, I did it like in a good way, but I'm just like, she brought up her niece, and I was like, so how many kids would you want? It seems like a good time. Kids in the mix. What other like questions would you say like you should probably have on the first date?
Yeah, like that's a good question. You were able to find a very natural way to weave it in conversationally without just like sparking it as like an interview question, right?
Was it natural, Riley?
It was. You can ask her. I can call her right now and she would say that.
Right? And part of dating is being able to put the other person at ease, being able to be eloquent in conversation, and being able to naturally create topics of depth while still making it feel comfortable for the other person. So another question might be, like, do you see yourself living here in the next few years? Right? Because a lot of relationships, they may start out great and then one person moves to another state for a job and then the other person doesn't want to move. So knowing ahead of time, like whether or not you see yourself staying here, even if another job opportunity comes up in another state, that you probably won't take it.
Yeah.
Because you've built roots here.
I definitely asked her that one too. I was like,
You're smart.
Yeah,
Look at you dating for a life partner.
That's what I usually do. I don't know. I don't really like there's this new like demisexual term out there where it's like you need to make an emotional connection before you can like become physical with a person. And I've always been that way. I never did a one night stand, never did anything like that because it's just like, I don't know. I feel like I got to meet their parents first before we can like do anything like that. I know that sounds crazy and wild, but yeah, that's always something I go for is like, I guess a life partner, trying to find my wife. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, clearly you're a man of depth, right?
Yeah.
Clearly.
Stop. Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that?
Right? You want to build an emotional connection first because that's when physical intimacy really means something. That's when it really is amazing. Versus like just a very surface level connection. And then there's always awkwardness after the fact because it's like, okay, what was your name again? Or like, see ya whenever, right?
Yeah.
You shared something so intimate, so deep with someone. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, see ya.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. You know, like I've always needed to really connect with someone on a deep level in order to feel comfortable in a physical way.
The safe love.
Safe love. And that's a way of protecting your heart.
Yeah.
especially if you know that you're someone who emotionally attach quickly
Mhm.
after physical
Oh my
intimacy.
gosh, I'm feeling so affirmed right now. It's crazy. I'm like glowing right now. Oh my gosh. Another question I have for you. What belief keeps women emotionally invested in men who are not commitment ready?
Yeah, feeling that you can fix somebody,
The fixer-upper
a
attitude?
fixer-upper. Yeah, projecting a fantasy onto him. I see this a lot. A lot of women, they have high hopes on a date, right? They
Yeah.
have all these anxious nerves. They get really nervous. And it's because she puts so much pressure on herself that he could be the one, right? She plays it over and over in her head. Can he be the one? Could this be the one? You know, could I stop dating after this? And she's so focused on the outcome of the date that she doesn't actually get to know him as a person and actually clearly observe him for who he is. And she's so focused on projecting a fantasy of what she wants him to be. And what ends up happening is she'll miss a lot of early red flags. She'll be living in this fantasy of who he could become instead of observing him for who he is. And then when she finds herself in a misaligned relationship because he doesn't have the core compatibility of what she's looking for, most likely because she focused too heavily on chemistry alone, then she'll realize like things aren't working. So I got to try harder. I got to overgive. I got to sacrifice my needs more. I have to shrink myself so that the relationship can continue. The relationship can survive. But in the process, she's losing who she really is at her core. And a lot of times in these kinds of relationships, when they eventually end, she's not only heartbroken because she lost the fantasy of what this could have become, she lost her partner, but she also feels lost in who she is.
Yeah.
A lot of times she'll be like, I don't even know who I am anymore.
Yeah.
Like I spent so much time becoming someone that I thought he wanted that I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't feel grounded.
Yeah. That definitely happened to me in my last relationship where I was like, oh my gosh, I was like 19, 20. Her parents didn't think I was going to be much of anything, didn't think I was going to earn enough being a videographer or like whatever I was doing at the time. And I was doing so much of whatever I could at that time to prove to her, no, like I am that guy. Look, like I'm started my own company. I like am getting clients. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I kind of gave up like working out, basketball, didn't really hang out with my friends much. My family didn't really like me at the time because I was just so stuck up anytime I was around her because anything I could say or do would make her mad. And I stopped. And I think the most important thing is I stopped being goofy. And that took a little bit for me to find. And I thought that if I like prioritize her, I'm going to lose her and myself rather than just losing her. So in this next go around of the relationship, I'm super goofy. Angie brings out the best in me. I love her so much. I was like, dude, you should like come on the podcast and like, work here,
Yeah.
Yeah. Carly likes her. You like her, right?
I love Angie. It's great.
Yeah, she's amazing.
It's awesome. Happy for you.
But yeah, I totally resonate with that where you have to stay true to yourself or you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Absolutely. And, I think that when you're in your 20s or even younger, you're still discovering who you are, right? You're still grasping your concept of self.
Yeah.
And you're finding, who you are as a person, what your purpose in life is, what career you want to do, a lot of these unknowns. And so it's only natural to make some missteps along the way. But, once you get to a point where you're more sure of who you are and what you want out of this life and what you want out of a partner, that's when you'll start, everything will become aligned, right? Your personal life will feel at peace. Your professional life will feel at peace. And that's when you're following your intuition. That's when you've learned to really listen to yourself and to stop second guessing yourself and to stop questioning whether I'm doing things the right way.
Yeah. Wow. And everyone who just joined, this is Casey Lee. She is a dating coach. We are asking her some Q&A questions. I have another one here. What dating behavior causes women to waste the most time with the wrong partner?
Don't beat yourself up, like I said, right? Most of us didn't learn how to date and build a healthy relationship. And through a lot of trial and error, you're starting to learn these things. And so if you're following what movies have taught you or what TV has taught you, and you're only choosing based off of chemistry and you haven't learned how to date with intention and, learn to create dating profiles to attract and appeal to the masses instead of curating it for the man that you're targeting, right? Don't beat yourself up. That's part of why dating is frustrating, is because you're, following things that have misled you. And this is great that, you guys are teaching women these skills and, having experts on to share the news that there are avenues and there are ways to formally learn the skill set to help you, reduce your heartbreak, to find who you are, to build confidence, to not second guess yourself. Ultimately, when you find out who you are and you know what your life values are, you know what lifestyle aligns with who you are, you know what your long-term life goals are, then live them. Live them. Don't be afraid to show them on your dating profile, and you will attract a like-minded man.
Yeah. Wow. Another question. Before learning your framework, what pattern do your clients repeat across relationships?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on that a little bit, just finding themselves in relationships with emotionally unavailable men. But I want to say that, before I got into this work, I was one of these women.
Really?
Yeah. This is part of the reason why I got into this work, is because I was so lost. I was so confused. I was so disappointed and frustrated at where my life was personally. Professionally, I was working in corporate finance. I was doing really well.
Girl boss.
Thank you. And I was asking myself, I have 15 years of dating experience. Why am I still struggling so much with finding a quality husband, right? What am I doing wrong? And so I really dove into researching dating psychology. I dove into understanding dating attraction dynamics. I dove into learning specifically the psychology of how quality men thought, especially those that wanted a wife, and because the psychology of those men is very different than the psychology of casual minded men. And because I couldn't find the mentor that I wanted, I became that mentor for myself solely so that I could find my husband.
Yeah.
Right. So then after I learned all of those skills and I, used the analytical strategic mindset from my finance career, I created a framework to help myself. And once I, through a lot of trial and error, I refined that framework. And then once I implemented it, I immediately started attracting much higher quality men that I wasn't able to before. And it's almost like I unlocked a key, right?
Yeah.
Dating with intention is like unlocking a key that you weren't able to unlock before. And so I was dating these quality men that I was excited about, that I was enjoying dating. Dating was lighter and more fun. And within 3 months of implementing this framework, I attracted my husband online.
Oh, wow.
And it was very quick, right? After 15 years of struggling, and then all of a sudden the framework was in place, unlocked the key, met my husband in 3 months.
Wow.
And so, I want to share that it is a struggle, right? Dating is very complicated in many ways. Relationships are complicated, but if you learn how to date with intention, you feel more confident in the process. You are able to date with ease. You're able to see clearly a step-by-step framework on how to handle certain situations so that you're not anxious, you're not nervous, you're not second-guessing yourself.
You're becoming your true self and attracting your lifelong partner.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And your husband, how long ago did you guys meet?
Almost a decade ago.
A decade ago. And how long have you guys been married?
For most of that. Yeah.
Most of that?
We dated for a year and a half before he proposed.
How's that going for you guys?
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, as I hinted to before, I grew up in a emotionally tricky dynamic with my parents. I grew up as their marriage counselor.
Oh, wow. Both of them?
Yeah.
Did you have good rates or was it tough at first?
I was their only marriage counselor because they wouldn't seek help outside of the house.
Wow.
Yeah. They had a very unhealthy relationship dynamic. They didn't really know each other well before they got married. And then they stayed together for the kids, that kind of thing. And they didn't seek a formal marriage counselor until decades later.
Wow.
After I quit.
Yeah. We got to find somebody.
So, I was determined to build that healthy relationship, that healthy marriage that I knew that I wanted. I didn't want to repeat the dynamics that I witnessed growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I truly believe that I found true love, right? I'm so happy in my marriage. I'm so happy that I found the man that I want to grow old with, who supports my dreams, who I love dearly, who I cherish and respect and trust. And we have, a toddler together, a little girl who we absolutely love. And I made the dreams that I once had so many years ago into my reality. And I want to offer and inspire other women that true love does exist, right? Most people have witnessed a lot of unhealthy dynamics. They may question whether true love is real, but when you, again, date with intention, you're able to find that true love and nurture it and learn the healthy relationship skills to grow it and to continue it for a lifetime.
Casey has, like, you got the real deal too, right? With your husband?
Yeah, I'm very blessed and very grateful to have him.
She told me an interesting story that you didn't know everything about him until a year in. Is that right?
Yeah. So, I mean, he had a very respectable career when I met him. He was an entrepreneur. He had built small companies and sold them. And so that's what I knew him as, you know, just an entrepreneur that I really respected and admired. And then I found out through his mom, actually, because we were having a family dinner with my parents and his parents. And I overheard his mom telling my parents that, you know, he also had a career as a surgeon in the past and that, you know, he was like a Harvard grad and PhD, all that stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, wait, who are they talking about? And he was like, I'll tell you later. And then I was like, well, you know, like, why didn't you tell me you used to be a surgeon and you graduated from a very respectable university and stuff like that? And he was like, well, I mean, I had many careers and this is, you know, being an entrepreneur is my current career. I'm not someone who openly brags about all of my life achievements and stuff like that. And it was almost like a past life for him. But yeah, he's someone that really enjoys learning.
Yeah.
He's always excelled in academia and did really well in school and loved the challenge. And so for him, like obtaining those degrees and accolades were challenging, but you know, they don't define who he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really proud of him.
Oh my gosh. If I was a past surgeon, that's definitely coming up on like the second date, not the first date. But thinking like, yeah, you know, when I was a surgeon, I would do this as a hobby, blah, 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 blah. But I realized recently that surgeons get a bad rap.
Why?
We had a guest on Monday. Oh my gosh, she told us this crazy first date she had with a surgeon.
Oh my God, yeah.
It was insane. It was literally insane. But she was saying that most surgeons are narcissists or sociopaths. Just to give you a little bit of that story.
It was pre-cell phones.
Pre-cell phone in the 90s.
Okay.
She got into this dude's car.
They went on a nice first date. He picked her up in a Porsche. It was a really nice dinner, right, too, Carly?
Yeah, a lovely date. And then he just like emphasized over and over though, like, oh, you should really meet my mom. Like, I think you'd really love my mom.
You
like,
remind me so much of my mom.
So much of you should really meet how about we go meet my mom?
And they're in Chicago. He lives like an hour and a half away from her mom. So they both get in the car. Again, not with cell phones around. And he doesn't tell her that it's an hour and a half away until like they get in the car.
They're driving.
So they go and they get to the house. Beautiful estate, big house, all that stuff,
like
many rooms.
Butler, everything, meeting them.
Right there. And he's like, yeah, my mom's like in the backyard. You want to go see her? And it's like pitch black. So she's like, okay. So they're walking. And it's a big yard, hedges and everything. She's walking and the butler stops back at the house. She's like, walking. And then they stop. And then they look down. And then he starts talking to her mom. Yeah, she's in the grave. They got a grave right there.
He's talking to a gravestone.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And like expected back and forth conversation. Like he'd be like, ask her how she is. And she'd ask and he'd be like, she says she's doing well. Like,
oh, wow.
20 minutes just like talking to someone that's already passed away.
Wow, that is weird. That's one of those dating horror stories that becomes funny after you meet your life partner and then you tell it all the time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I'm glad you didn't get one of those surgeons.
No. I mean, I can understand. I actually asked my husband that question, you know, like, do doctors and surgeons develop a God complex because people's lives are in their hands, like life or death decisions? And, you know, I've heard that before, you know, other people saying, oh, doctors have such God complexes. But I can understand, you know, that you need to develop that level of confidence in order to make split decisions in the moment so that you don't kill somebody, right? But oftentimes, if it's unchecked, then yeah, it could be a very narcissistic, sociopathic tendency that is unattractive.
Yeah. I don't know if the rich estate and the Porsche could, like, you know, get my chills over that part. I got a few more questions for you here. What internal shift happens when a woman walks away early instead of waiting for potential?
Yeah, her confidence will grow. So when she learns to trust her instincts, when she learns to see those red flags early and bypass them, when she stays true to herself and she doesn't second guess herself, her confidence will grow. Because otherwise, the alternative is that she will lose herself in an incompatible relationship and she will become a shell of herself. So when you are able to assess compatibility early and you're able to filter out the wrong men early, then you're able to grow that confidence instead of leaning into self-doubt, knowing that you made a sound decision based on data, based on evidence, based on seeing someone clearly, instead of a decision based on fear of being fearful of being alone, fearful of not being chosen, fearful of not being wanted, or an impulsive decision based off of, someone's job title or someone's status or anything that will not lead to long-term success in a relationship. So when you know what to look for, you feel confident in your decision. And ultimately, when you find the right person, you will know for sure that all those decisions led up to here.
Yeah. Here's another question. Can you share a client story that shows how dating feels different once healthier patterns are in place?
So the story was a single mom. She was in her 30s, and she came to me when she was already in a relationship for a year.
Okay.
The ex was no longer in the picture, so she was raising these kids on her own. And yeah, it was 2 kids, a lot of responsibility, right? And she went into online dating, found this guy, got into a relationship relatively quickly. And then a year in, she was really questioning whether she should stay. And so we were talking through kind of her dating patterns. And for example, a common issue was he would get easily upset if she didn't respond within 2 hours.
Oh.
He would, if she was taking care of her kids, if she, was so tired she took a nap and she didn't respond, he would get really upset. And when he got upset, he would leave. He would say, I need space. And then she would say, well, how much space? When will I hear from you? And then he would say, I don't know. It could be days, weeks, or months, right? So he would just leave her hanging. And he would do this repeatedly. And so eventually she felt emotionally unsafe in this relationship. But she would also say, I love him and he loves me. I know he loves me and I want to work this out. But I keep trying and I keep giving him what he wants, but it's never good enough. And I feel like I'm always walking on eggshells, about to make a mistake, about to, have him want space again. And I don't know whether I'm asking for too much. And, I explained to him that what I'm observing is that he seems to have avoidant tendencies when things get hard, when there's conflict. And actually, he might have a little disorganized too, fearing abandonment, right? When she doesn't respond, he needs that reassurance and that validation that she's there.
Yeah.
She's available. So it sounded more like disorganized, actually. But she realized that what she was asking out of this relationship wasn't very much. She was just asking for consistency, communication, and to feel safe in the relationship. And I think ultimately she came to the conclusion that this was impacting her well-being. It was impacting her caregiving to her kids. Her kids weren't getting the best version of their mom. So she ended up choosing to leave the relationship. And then she also ended up, spending time to grieve the loss of the relationship, become whole in herself. So then fast forward, she ended up reaching back out. We started working together and, she never really learned the dating and relationship skills. She never really learned them. And so we embarked on building the skill set. And then I think within a year, she found a single dad again and was able to feel like herself, right? She was confident in who she was. She wasn't walking on eggshells. She finally realized what it was like being in a relationship with a quality man who was emotionally available, emotionally vulnerable, and could work through issues together instead of always picking up and leaving and shutting down and running away. And so she was able to really grow and blossom that relationship into something that would eventually lead down to a life partnership.
Wow.
So it's really, a lot of women come to me when they're feeling uncertain, anxious, nervous, second guessing themselves. And then through our work together, they're able to become confident, assured, certain, stop doubting herself, trusting her intuition, knowing that what she's asking isn't too much, not needing to shrink herself. And from there, she could really grow and attract the right person for her.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Just really holding true to your true self.
Yeah.
Valuing that.
Yeah, and there was even something he said. He was like playing to her fears as a single mom. He was saying like, I'm the best you're ever going to have. And I was just like, oh my gosh,
Stop.
like that is such insecure behavior, right? And it's not that he's a bad person, right? People with these insecure, unhealthy attachments aren't bad people. They're the way they are because they've experienced past hurt themselves. But that doesn't give you an excuse to hurt other people.
Yeah, no.
Right? I'm sure you've heard the term hurt people, right? So everyone needs to first have some self-awareness and acknowledge areas of yourself that need improvement, that need working on, and then healing on that past trauma and that past hurt so that you stop hurting other people and repeating the same old patterns that are holding you back in your personal relationship.
Stopping the cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because if you hurt people, everyone's going to be super hurt. I do have a question from one of our fans. It's kind of like story-based, not just like a question. Okay, Mimi B asked, TLDR, I'm a 30-ish female who keeps dealing with men who seem to only know how to show intimacy by being overtly sexual. I immediately shut down and lose interest when there's any mention of physical intimacy right away. I often don't feel valued for more than that, and thus have been celibate for a few years now. It has been even limited to me going out to meet people because the immediate thought is, you don't truly like me, but you want to F me. No plans made, no interest in my interests, etc. I guess my question is, what can I do to change that trajectory? I know I need to go out and meet people, but the trauma.
I mean, sounds like she's only able to attract emotionally unavailable men or men who are not ready for a relationship. So if she's meeting these men, casually in person, that's one thing. But I would say if she's meeting these men online, then really curating your dating profile so that you're only attracting relationship-minded men and you're naturally weeding out the casual-minded men. Because, a relationship-minded quality man is not going to lead with physical intimacy. He's going to make you feel comfortable, want to understand who you are as a person first, build that emotional connection, and then, go at a pace that will make you comfortable. And so, like, for example, a lot of, unfortunately, women in their dating profile, they use a lot of pictures that attract a lot of attention. So whether it's bikini pictures or clubbing pictures or really overly posed glamour pictures that don't show who she really is, they just show that she's physically attractive. And then in her written bio, she might just list very general things like, I love yoga, I love the beach, and I love reading, right?
Walks on the beach, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's very general. And so casual-minded men are going to slip through the cracks because they're like, okay, well, she didn't say anything about wanting a life partner or a relationship, so maybe she's open to what I want. Versus if you're showing who you really are, you're showing substance in your pictures, like lifestyle pictures. If you enjoy murder mystery novels, for example, then ask your friend to go to a bookstore with you, hold up the book that you're reading and take a picture and post it, right? A man who also is interested in that genre is going to instantly connect on that topic. And then you can banter online about your interests. If you really enjoy traveling, for example, then take a picture of a recent travel destination where someone can immediately see where you are and spark a conversation about that destination or your travel bucket list. If you love playing tennis, go take a picture of you playing tennis. But basically show, don't tell who you are. And then that way quality men can connect on that substance.
Yeah.
Same thing with the written bio, like be descriptive, paint a picture. Like if we're using the example of the reading and the mystery, like say like I'm engrossed in Dan Brown's origin book, I can't put it down. Or my bucket list is traveling to Patagonia in Chile and climbing an Andes mountain, right? Be very specific about what values or interests align with you. And then in there as well, specify that I'm looking for something meaningful, lasting, like a life partnership to build a life with, with someone special. Immediately, you're going to weed out men who are like, that's not low-hanging fruit. I'm going to pass on her. Like I'll swipe right on a bikini picture next time.
Too much work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You want to target the kinds of men that are compatible with you. And you have to be very specific in targeting him because right now you're just attracting men who just want physical intimacy, a casual connection. And that's disappointing you and frustrating you.
Yeah. And it's turning you off. I love that you said show, don't tell. You should be a movie writer because I feel like, do you watch Stranger Things?
I do.
Did season 5 feel like a lot of telling and not showing?
A little bit. Yeah.
I agree. But I think that is incredible because you kind of like, you get that picture better. It translates to you better rather than a PowerPoint slide with all the words and you're just reading off the PowerPoint kind of vibe. We have another fan question for you. This is Anonymous Center. My boyfriend and I have been seeing each other for the better part of a decade. We both have our fair share of issues that we've had to work through, but we've managed to come through it together. We are not interested in marriage or kids, just closeness and being together. However, we don't live together, and I want to change that. He can't seem to decide if he does or not. It's like the idea overwhelms him, and he shuts down. How can we talk about this without him falling apart? No, he may be undiagnosed and on the spectrum.
I'm curious how old they are.
Been together for a decade. I want to say maybe, let's just assume 30s, like late 20s, 30s.
If you're together for a decade, I would think that you would have learned how to communicate on certain sensitive topics or issues that, may be touchy for the other person. But if you're unable to get through to him and he keeps shutting down, I would say even consider a couples therapist or couples counselor. If you've repeatedly tried to communicate with him, he walks away or shuts down and says, I don't want to talk about it, then you have to decide, how to move this forward, whether or not this relationship is going in the direction that you want ultimately with your long-term goals. If you want to build a life partnership with someone, then usually you're living together, sharing a home together. But if that's not what he wants, then clearly that's a misalignment in long-term goals and long-term values. So if you can't get through to him, try to suggest a couples therapist or counselor. If he's unwilling, then unfortunately you have to decide what's more important to you, whether it's staying with him and having that companionship, or if it's really feeling unfulfilling and you want to make that next step and live with somebody and share a life together, then you have to ask yourself that hard question, whether this is the right person to be with.
Yeah, I love that. And we have our last question from a fan. It's anonymous sender. They say, me, 25 and a half female, last relationship, if you can call it that, held the most amount of red flags I ever ignored. We went to the same school and know many of the same people, but we never met in person. He doesn't drive, but he would never tell me his address to meet me or pick him up. Every time I told him something that bothered or upset him, his response to me was along the lines of, oh, dang, babe, that must suck. I'm sorry. I actually had to have a talk with him so he would stop sending booty pics. He thought they were funny. He would shower me with compliments and adoration and say all the things were right. But I ended things because it felt like the relationship was stuck while I'm trying to advance in life. After Kevin Zapiris, our therapist, I am becoming more confident about getting back out there. What does an emotionally mature man look like? What are the major red flags that indicate emotional immaturity? And do I need to start with dating apps instead of finding men in the wild? Oh my gosh. Sounds like that last relationship was crazy.
Well, she never met him, right?
Is that what she said?
Yeah, they never actually met in person. But they had classes, or they had school together. So I'm wondering if it was like an online school situation.
Yeah. She did say a last relationship, if you can call it that. That makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of people try to meet others in the wild, right? In the natural old-fashioned way. It's possible. It just takes time and investment and energy, because not only do you have to ingrain yourself in the environment, in the community, then you have to see who you're interested in. Then you have to find the DL of what that person's situation is like, whether they're single, in a relationship, what their sexual orientation is. All of that takes time and energy, and whether or not they even are interested and attracted in you. Versus online dating, all of that intent is already there, right? Online dating is, I describe it like an online marketplace. People are there to already want connection. It just depends what kind of connection they want, whether it's casual, whether it's long-term relationship minded. So it's your job to filter out the wrong people and only attract and talk to the right people. So that's why I say that online dating is so efficient when you use the tool the right way. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is, a tool, right? Just like AI, people get frustrated with AI when AI comes out as AI slop, right? The output is not what you want. But many times, if we're using ChatGPT as an example, your input needs to be very specific. It needs to be hyper specific to what you want and instruct AI to give you what you want. And usually when you do that, the output is exactly what you want most of the time. Online dating is very similar. Your input is your online dating profile. If you're very specific, you will attract that specific person. If you're very general or you're just trying to appeal to the masses, you're going to get a mixed bag of all different types of people, mostly the wrong people. And then you're going to have to filter through all this disappointment and frustration because all you're filtering through are incompatible people who are disappointing you or frustrating you. So I say give dating apps a shot.
Yeah.
Right? And I always say, like, there's so many dating apps out there. There's faith-based, there's, race-based, there's everything. So find what it is that's important to you. Try a few out. Find two that you enjoy the most, that have the types of men that you're looking for. Subscribe to the paid version. I know people don't like hearing that, but that's a way for you to have full access to all the filters that you need to quickly filter out the wrong people, instead of it being, time-based, or you have certain restrictions on how many swipes you have a day, all that stuff. Remove those restrictions. Therefore, you have full authority over the matches and you're able to choose what you want.
Yeah. They also got farm-based too. I meant to say that earlier.
I have heard of that, like
FarmersOnly.com.
Yeah.
Dude, that commercial would run so many times while I'd be at my grandparents' house. But subscribe to the paid version. It's worth it.
I think so. Once you narrow down the top two that you enjoy using, subscribe to the paid version. That way you have unfiltered access to further narrow down your pool of men that you're interested in talking to.
Now, I will say this advice is more for women. I feel like if I as a man went and got the paid version, it would be harder for me because I feel like it's a different ball game for men on dating apps than it is for women. Is that right?
I have heard that, women get inundated with so many messages, right? So they get a lot of volume, but whether it's quality volume is a completely different story.
Gotcha.
So they're sifting through all these men. They're like, nope, 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 nope. And then they're getting like burnt out because all they're doing is swiping no. Versus men, I hear it's a slightly different version. It's not always about volume, but it's more so going after the quality. I will say though, at least from speaking to my husband, he actually used the two dating apps I was using, which were Bumble and Coffee Meets Bagel. And
Coffee Meets Bagel? What's that?
Coffee Meets Bagel is, a dating app that tends to gear towards relationship-minded people.
Does it work better in I was in Tennessee whenever I used apps in a very small town in Tennessee. What is that popular in bigger cities, Coffee Meets Bagel?
I think so. And larger metropolises. Yeah.
Okay.
But at least from his experience, he was meeting quality women. He didn't have a tough time meeting women. It was more so just finding the right woman. So, he said maybe there was one instance where he felt like the woman looked much older in person than her pictures. So it was a little bit of a catfish situation, but not too much. But for the most part, he didn't have any dating horror stories or, women that he just wanted to run from.
Yeah. I had one. Oh my gosh. I used Tinder once. It was pretty bad. It was bad. It was a girl in college and she wanted to hang out at her apartment, in her apartment room. And I was like, and I go to the door and I was greeted by her roommate. And then she was like, she'll be ready here in a second. So I had to sit in their living room and wait. And then she was like, I'm ready. We can hang out. And I just sat on her floor and she had a bunny. The bunny was cute. She was we were playing with the bunny and just talking back and forth. But she was nervous and everything, which I was like, oh, it's okay. And I was trying to be nice. But I don't know. It was just I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that again. I felt like I wanted I made up a fake meeting. I was like, oh, John, you have a meeting with me in 10 minutes? Oh, dude, I'm on a date right now. I'll get right back to you. I'm so sorry. I have to go.
It's like your phone didn't even ring.
It buzzed. I felt the buzz. But I pulled that and then left.
Yeah, I feel like first dates, it's always good to do public spaces.
Yeah.
That way it's not like you're in someone's intimate space and, it's a very neutral setting, and especially someone's personal apartment. And one of my tips that I tell women that I work with is always suggest a dating venue that you would be excited to go to, even if the date was a flop, right? So go to that bar, restaurant, or lounge that would be oh, wow, I wanted to come here for a while and I wanted to try the food. I wanted to try the drinks. Even if the date was a flop, I'm still glad I came.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, sweet. This has been amazing. where can people find you or get in contact with you?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. People, if they are interested, can find me on my website at lifepartnerbycaseylee.com. I have a free virtual dating workshop for women and also an introductory strategy session for women who want more personalized guidance. And then you can also find me on Instagram at lifepartnerbycaseylee. And I offer common tips or very regular tips and insight on grounded modern dating strategies, insight for women.
Yeah, she has great reels. I was looking at your reels and I love them so much. Carly, do you have any other questions or anything?
I'm still taking it all in. This was wonderful.
Yeah, I almost stopped midway to go get my notebook, but I was like, no, I can't.
I'm gonna have to look back at it and be like, oh my god, yeah, like that's something that me and Keon did, or something that I haven't asked him yet, kind of thing. Is there, you mentioned the two apps that you use, Bumble and Coffee Meets Bagel. Are there other ones that you find are best for your clients that work out the most?
Yeah, the ones that I've had client success stories, whether they found their boyfriend, their fiance, or husband, it's Coffee Meets Bagel, Bumble, Hinge, eHarmony.
Oh wow, that's still a thing.
And OkCupid.
OkCupid, I've heard of that one.
So, I mean, it really depends on, you as a person, right? If you're looking for culture-based dating, there's cultural-based apps. If you're looking for faith-based dating, there's faith-based apps. If you're looking for more of a general mix, then I think the ones I listed have a good shot. And then try them out, find your favorite too.
I would love to hear if Farmers Only ever works for one of your clients one day.
You'd have to talk to farmers and see how good their success rates are.
I will. I know a few.
I feel like that's gotta, when you're just looking for another farmer.
Yeah, right. I kind of want to get on that. I'm with someone, but I just wouldn't see what the bios look like, or how do the guys We'll do a woman one so we can see what the guys look like and how they
Let's put Savannah on Farmers Only.
There we go. It's another one of our single hosts. We use her as a guinea pig. So infatuated with that. But thank you so much for coming on.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Yeah, this was amazing. I love this.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I had such a good time.
Good.
Yeah, happy to be here. You're so welcome.
So if you love us, make sure to subscribe. We love you. And see you tomorrow. Yo, don't leave yet. Please don't exit out of this video. We have more stories for you, and I know you got more stuff to do, so hang around.
My fiance claimed I treated her badly. Now my life is in shambles. Trigger warning, there could be physical abuse in the story. If you want to skip and go to the next one, I suggest you do that. I honestly don't know what happened. Well, let's find out. A couple of days ago, my girlfriend who I lived with left our apartment while I was at work, claimed to her family and mutual friends that I had been physically her and blocked me on everything. I have no idea what's going on. By the way, this comes from a random abuse throw, and if you want to submit your own story, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. There weren't any major problems in our relationship that I could see. We just had consensual spicy sleep last night. The very last time I spoke to her before all of this happened, she was perfectly fine, kissed me goodbye before work, and everything was normal. Then I got a call from my dad toward the end of the day asking me calmly if I had been attacking my girlfriend. I didn't know what he was talking about, and then she told me. I rushed home, and she had gotten all of her stuff and is staying either with her family or a friend of hers. My Facebook account is blowing up, and I have no idea what to do. None of what is being said is true, and I don't know if someone is just playing a cruel joke on me. A few people even mentioned that the police were called, but I haven't heard anything as of yet. The last major argument we had was probably in February around Valentine's Day. We were going through some financial trouble, the stress got to us, and we were both getting upset with each other over petty household things. She was my best friend, the person I could rely on to be there for me, and the person I would be there for always, no matter what. We were definitely planning on getting married. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. Her family had basically accepted me into their family. I was close with both her mom and her dad. I only called them both once each. Neither of them answered my calls. I called my, ex just twice. No answer. She's blocked me on every social media platform of hers that I know of. I asked a couple of friends, but they are being distant with me. Just one-word answers or ghosting me. What the F is happening here? We'd been upfront and honest with with each other and our communication was stellar, and we have an update coming up. Okay, this is going to be a weird, freaky update. I'm sorry if you guys thought this was going to be anything interesting. A friend came forward and told me that apparently my dumb butt fiance decided to play a prank on me. She had the bright idea of leaving the house for a couple of days to set up a surprise birthday party for me, set for this weekend. I don't know what the F she was thinking, nor do I even really know the full story yet. She is not really the prank playing type, and I guess thought this would be hilarious or something. It looks like the majority of those friends who were acting distant were in on it. After I started being upfront and honest with showing people my text with her as this sub suggested, one of them told her that this wasn't cool, and if she didn't come clean, then he would. Well, she didn't come clean, and he came forward. I guess that's why nobody was answering their texts. Anyways, I texted her and I told her that I knew, and I asked her what the F was she thinking? She started blowing my phone up, apologizing. She said her prank just went too far and spiraled out of control when it got on social media, and that she didn't know how to come clean when she realized that it crossed the line.
So she's like, yeah, I realized that was super messed up of me, and instead of clearing your name, I just did nothing?
Or like clearing the name, the parents. Like if I'm like, my daughter has, I am lighting on fire.
Yeah. Do you know, I mean, like there are so many parents out there that would literally like physically harm someone who did that.
Yes.
You know, like no joke, he might have, like his life might have been in danger.
Yes.
From that accusation.
Yes, absolutely. She also said that she didn't mean to let it come out that I was her, and that she wanted to make it seem like she left me, and that the stuff was a rumor started by some other people who weren't in on her joke. I just didn't really respond to her. I left and went to my parents' house before she got home. My family now thinks that she's an effing moron, so her relationship with them is ruined right before our marriage, so that's great. Our mutual friends are now split in half, with half of them thinking she's an idiot and the other half feeling God knows what about the situation. I'm frankly embarrassed and feel stupid for wasting everyone's time and dragging them into my relationship with my fiance. I don't really know where to go from here. I don't know if I should call off the wedding or postpone it and try to work out what the heck went through her mind. I'm sorry if this isn't the ending to the story that you were all hoping for. I'm having drinks and will be here all night feeling sorry for myself and answering comments for as long as I'm awake with this Jameson. And we have the second update. So firstly, thank all of you for your input. I read and considered every single reply. First, I'll update you, then I'll tie up some loose ends from the comments in the previous post. I want to apologize for the bluntness of this post ahead of time because despite your comments about me being calm and level-headed, I'm actually quite upset about the entire situation, and I feel like me sitting and thinking about it is only marinating this anger and making it more juicy and flavorful. So update. I spoke to her in person after I posted my update. From her perspective, her original idea was to make it look like she got mad or something, grabbed a few things, and left to her friend's house where she was going to have the party thrown. Her friend has a really nice house that's perfect for a 20 to 30 person get-together. She was with her two friends and made an off-the-cuff remark when her friend said, "What are you going to say when he asks why?" And she said, "I don't know. I'll probably tell him that I felt like he got too serious when we had spicy sleep or something like that." Then her other friend who was with her immediately took to social media without the other two girls knowing. And then when they checked their phones later that day, it was already a dumpster fire. I said, "Great. All that is understandable. Just one question. Why did you then block me and then refuse to answer my calls, because that seemed pretty effing intentional to me?" She said because she didn't want to throw her idiot friend under the bus and thought it would all go away if she just threw the party, and she hadn't realized how far it all went so quickly. I thanked her for telling me, and then I called off the wedding entirely. She cried. I cried. It was a goddamn mess. She asked where we go from here. I told her I don't know. I don't even know if the relationship is over yet, but I know that the engagement is over, and that if I decide to give it another chance at the bare minimum, we need to build my trust for her from the ground up, if not the entire relationship.
I also think she needs to go online and publicly say, my friend, name them.
Yes.
Made a joke that a bad joke that I had to surprise my partner and took it to the internet and totally lied about everything. Literally throw them under the bus and then admit that you didn't know what was going on and you failed to come forward and say that your partner did nothing wrong. Literally like humiliate yourself online. Humiliate yourself because you have humiliated your partner.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, I didn't want to throw my idiot friend under the bus. Actions have consequences.
Absolutely.
Like she went on social media and said that your partner was you. That is, she absolutely deserves to be thrown under the bus. Absolutely needs to be called out for. And you know what? She made it public there. Why can't we make it public? She gets to say this insane thing on the internet, but we don't get the chance to, you know, clear your partner's name and like try to rectify the situation.
Absolutely, his part, like OP's partner, needs to just humiliate herself. And then also, even then, if she does that, you don't have to stay with her.
Yes.
That's just the bare minimum that she needs to do.
And now I have to decide if I want that. Being if they start the relationship, everything's being built from the ground up, right? Do I want to spend another 4 years being undecided? If I'm being honest with myself, I imagine it taking another couple of years before I can trust her again. Do I want to get married and start thinking about having children at 35, 36, close to 40? I told her that I have a lot to think about. I spoke to her dad last night. We shared a case of adult sodas and had a conversation that lasted about 5 hours. My ex, hasn't spoken to anyone and has basically been locked up in her old bedroom for now. She's been crying a lot. I do believe that she's genuinely remorseful about all this, which complicates things. Her dad caught wind of the situation on Facebook, but learned what was really going on maybe like an hour later. He'd gotten my calls, but hadn't returned them because he had called his daughter first. She told him, and he just didn't know what to say to her. He told me that she's not truly stupid, but that she has a history of sometimes not thinking about things before she says them, and the impact of her offhand remarks can have. He said this is the worst it's ever snowballed, but she's had situations in the past where she says something stupid or insulting and doesn't realize the impact of what she said until hours later when the other person blows up over it. So that's it. I still have a lot to think about. I know a lot of you guys are telling me that I have no balls for not literally tossing her into traffic and laughing about it or something weird like that. But you have to understand that I still love her and I have loved her for a few years now. Right now, I'm leaning towards moving on, but you're going to have to empathize with me here. By the way, you're going to have to empathize with me that if you have not listened to all 2,000 episodes of our show on Spotify, that I'm furious with you. I am deeply disappointed in the base of my soul. So to rectify yourself, go to Spotify, Apple, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime and start binging our whole catalog with amazing episodes just like this.
Binge, binge, binge.
We're about to conclude the story. It has been an insanely wild ride. Could you please share your closing thoughts with the good people?
Absolutely would love to. Number 1, OP, be gentle with yourself. You are about to marry this person. Of course you love them. Of course you love them. That doesn't mean that they're right for you or that they haven't deeply hurt you in a way that maybe you can never trust them again, which, you know, you need for a good relationship. And 2, she still hasn't apologized publicly. Also, her friend has not apologized to you. Is she still friends with that person? Because I would be like, I am not being in a relationship with someone who is friends with a person who accused me of you. No way. Like, did she get any kind of, you know, ramifications to what she did?
Yeah, 100%. I also really love the point that your first point too, and I don't think it's said often. Like, people are when you're thrust into a scenario like this, you like 1 hour we're like in love with this person, about to marry them, and then the next hour everything changes, and that's such a like emotional whiplash to have to like try to understand and like sort everything in your head. So it's totally fair to be like, I've loved this person for years, and like we've had all these great times in this relationship, yet she's done this unthinkable thing to me, and it's just like hard to process all that. And still like appreciating, you know, the times, and you know, there's probably OP's a few years, like there's probably a lot of memories and ways that OP's grown. It's like that's still, you know, true and good, but also this person is freaking crazy. So there you go. Wise thoughts from Sophia Donner, ladies and gentlemen.
And from John Fry.
Look at that. But ladies and gentlemen, let's conclude this nightmare. As for my reputation, nobody thinks I'm going to. It's firmly out there now. Her reputation took a much more significant and lasting hit. I haven't lost any friends except for the idiot social media girl. Hooray. Whose reputation was also took a severe hit. Hooray. Nobody called the cops. All other posts about it have been deleted. Everything is good. There's no real need for me to get a lawyer and sue anybody. My family agrees with a lot of you. They're 2 seconds away from slapping me upside my head for not immediately punting her to the curb. Just give me some time. I'm not going to make another update post because I've already wasted too much of your time with this BS, but maybe I'll just update this post in a few days after I've decided what to do, but that might be the end.
Dang, man. I mean, great that OP's reputation has been, cleared.
Thank God.
But I mean, like, apart from her totally destroying the trust that you had in her, I would be really, really embarrassed to be in a relationship with someone who like everyone knew had done this.
Yeah.
This wasn't a isolated, thing that happened in isolation where only you and her had this fight that only you know about. Everyone in your life knows about it.
And she's done something like this on lighter situations, but multiple times.
Yeah, not good. My girlfriend suddenly excluded me from an event because she wanted a girls' night out.
You're not one of the girls.
Trigger warning: substances. EDC Group is playing in London in June at Gunnersbury Park. My girlfriend Tina is a fan and asked if I wanted to go. I said yes. She also FaceTimed her sister Yasmin to confirm she was attending. Yasmin is bringing her boyfriend Jim, and Tina's friend Yvonne is also coming. Yasmin asked Tina to buy tickets. By the way, this comes from Connection Far 2456, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So during the call, Tina joked about buying 4 tickets, but not confirming who they were for. She said, OP and I are going, Yvonne is going, I'm not sure who the 4th ticket is for. Over the next few days, Tina repeatedly asked me if I was sure I wanted to go. Each time I confirmed that I did, as I enjoy their music, even if I'm not as big of a fan as Tina or her friends. I've been intrigued by the hype, and events like this are something Tina and I typically do together. Today, however, her tone shifted. Tina said Yasmin had shown her a new set she thought I might not like. I reassured her I did like their music and asked if she was trying to get me to say I didn't want to go. To my surprise, Tina admitted she'd been thinking it over and decided she'd like to make it a girls' night with Yvonne, as they rarely get the chance to do things like this together. I asked if Yasmin and Jim were still going, which Tina confirmed, but said, I'm not going with them. I don't think I'll see much of them. I felt rejected. Instead of an open and loving conversation, it felt like she drip-fed me hints to manipulate me into not going. She could have said, I'd like this to be a girls' night. Would you mind inviting a friend? Instead, it felt calculated and that she didn't want me there. What makes it harder is picturing Tina, Yvonne, Yasmin, and Jim having fun without me, and not only not missing me, but actively having arranged for me not to be there. I actually did what Tina suggested earlier and listened to their latest set to make sure I would like it, only to be hurt more when I was temporarily made to be even more excited for the event, only then to realize I had to find someone who actually wanted to go with me. I also sort of don't want to go on my own or with anyone else because I feel like I'll be in my head about whether Tina is having more fun without me, and it'll ruin the experience. Tina has since apologized for the way she handled it and admitted that she should have just been honest and direct, but something still isn't sitting right with me about essentially being excluded from this event. She did say in passing that perhaps I should invite 2 other friends, a couple. Interestingly enough, she assumed they would come as an item, even though we seemingly do not, and go with them. But her not wanting to spend this time with me is hurting. We do have other plans lined up, a trip in December, another event in June 2025, so this isn't a pattern of exclusion. Still, I can't shake the hurt, especially since I'm used to us doing things like this together. Would I be the a-hole for not accepting this apology and making a bigger deal out of this? And there are some relevant comments. Dakota, what say you?
Well, the way you put that, I mean, no, I don't think you're an a-hole for being like hurt and upset about this, but like the way you're like, should I just make this an even bigger deal? It's like, I don't know if that's the right frame of mind to approach this from.
I don't think the goal should be, let's make it a big deal. I think you have to figure out what you want from her. And maybe that's a genuine apology. Maybe it's like, I don't feel like you really understand why this hurt me so much. And approaching it from like, what do I want her to say? And then communicating that rather than being like, I'm going to make a huge fit. I'm going to throw a fit and stuff.
Right. Well,
because you have a right to be upset. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just a weird one because it's like, why aren't we just getting more tickets? Like, if you're like, I want it to be a girls thing, it's like, all right, I can go do my own thing, or I could have invited my own friends. So it's like, why don't you want me here? Why don't you really want me here?
I think you have to have a conversation with your partner and say like, hey, 1, this is how I feel about the situation. It really hurt. 2, why did you not feel comfortable coming to me to tell me this rather than, hurting my feelings more by trying to be all weird about it? But there are some relevant comments. Yeah. Let's see what they say. Karmatika asks, have you asked her about why she did it this way? Did she answer you? Or would this be the first time you addressed how deeply this manipulation hurt you? Opie says, yes, I asked. She said because she was fearful of causing upset, so hoped I would just decide not to come. I asked if there was more to it, because it wasn't, look, I fancy doing this with Yvonne, so would you mind inviting one of your friends? It wasn't, look, I feel really bad. I know I said I'd do this with you, but I'd like to make it just me and Yvonne. It was a calculated attempt to make sure I didn't attend, or so it felt. She assures me that it's not the case and that it's no deeper than her just wanting to go with Yvonne now rather than a larger group. Inconspicuous Echo says, not the a-hole. What's done is done, but you may want to reevaluate your relationship and see if there's more signs where you're often dismissed or overlooked. To me, it feels intentional almost on a gatekeeping level where the 4 tickets were always meant to be for them, with you, the interloper, conveniently bailing at the last minute, but your girlfriend still able to go. OP says the 4-ticket thing is being taken slightly out of context. The 4 tickets weren't intended for the 5 people in the story, or at least that's now how I interpreted it. I took it that Yasmin and Jim would likely get their own tickets. Tina was sorting mine, Yvonne's, and her own, and there'd be a spare for someone else. Yasmin, I think, was hoping Tina would buy hers for financial reasons, and maybe the 4th ticket would have ultimately gone to her, or Jim would have bought her one, but I don't think there's any chance Tina is buying Jim's ticket. I included it in the story to demonstrate how it had gone from the more the merrier mentality to I'd rather you didn't come conversation. Nevertheless, there are a few other signs of me being overlooked, or perhaps not getting as warm of a reception to certain things that her friends would typically enjoy. I've raised this with her because I'm concerned that she's starting to resent me, but she's assured me that it's not the case, that I'm reading into things, that she's very committed to and in love with me. She's been quite self-aware and said there have been instances where in hindsight she has self-sabotaged because the relationship is getting more serious and she has been hurt in the past. And there is an update. After a bit of reflection time, Tina offered a sincere apology and said in hindsight she handled it very poorly. She said I was more important in her life than any gig, and rather than risk causing any more upset, she wasn't going to go. I was grateful for the reassurance. I did think that closer to the time we could likely pick up some resale tickets cheap if we changed our mind, but for the most part in my current headspace, I figured going to the event would just be a painful reminder of a time I wasn't wanted, so I would likely rather skip it and try to forget it altogether. The ticket date came and went, and I wondered if Tina had bought tickets. I stopped myself from asking her though, and decided to trust her word from the night prior that she wasn't going to go. We patched things back up and got pretty much back on track. You can probably guess what happens next. A little later, I asked how Yvonne took the conversation around tickets, and she was a little evasive, saying, we've already had this conversation. She said I handled it really badly. I asked her outright if she'd bought tickets, and she hesitated before confirming she'd bought 3. 1 for her, 1 for Yvonne, 1 for me. Her view is that we have these very hard to come by tickets for the future. Now, should we decide to go, and if I'm not comfortable, she would simply sell them. My view is she had 2 options. Risk not getting tickets, but no risk to upsetting me. 2, 0 risk on tickets, but small chance of upsetting me. She chose option 2 and risked upsetting me, breaking her promise from the night previous. I feel like she's putting this event ahead of me. She assures me that's not the case, and that buying the ticket, including me, was a loving gesture. I'd have every right to be pissed off if the evidence showed her buying 2 tickets, but because it was 3, I should accept this came from a place of love. I asked why, if it was so loving, she didn't tell me at the time.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So why are you telling me that tickets for me only after I found out you had bought the tickets? Like,
she said because we had been arguing. I asked why make them a commitment one day before to not buy tickets only to then do it. She said she reflected and changed her mind because we might all want to go. Doing a lot of reflection.
I did some reflection.
She's doing reflection, but it's all circular.
She's just looking at herself in a mirror saying,
Yeah.
I like it. Yes, I think I'll do what I want.
Yes. Relevant comments. Zealous Ideal Pound 118. So you were more important to her than any gig and she wasn't going to buy tickets, except that it turned out that you weren't? I don't think this is just a problem with her expressing herself poorly. I think she is expressing her priorities pretty clearly. I'm really sorry. Seaworthiness Big 8083 says, there's a lot of manipulation and trust breaking happening here. The question is this the only thing? Honestly, if you want this to work, it sounds like you both need a ton of work on what is going on. Are you sure that the third ticket was for you?
That's exactly.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Or was it for a friend she was going to invite in your place, but since you cornered her, she had to come up with something? She didn't tell you when she bought them and only admitted when she was caught. It would be hard for me to believe her at this point. My guess if she would have had plans the day of the concert, but promised it was unrelated. If you really want to see what she feels, tell her you're not interested in going at this point. Why doesn't she just invite a friend instead? See how easy she lets that happen and jumps on it. OP says, I know for a fact she wouldn't have hidden going from me. We live together and have find my, etc. Don't believe for a second she'd lie about actually going even after this. And there is a second update. Any second thoughts?
At this point, I think I'd be like, just go.
Yeah.
I don't even care. Go without me.
Yeah.
If you bought that third ticket for me, I don't know.
Sell it.
Go give it to
whatever.
another one of your
Yeah.
girlfriends. I don't want to go to this thing with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. At this point, I'm not gonna put any more emotional energy into this.
It's so draining.
Right. And it's like, if this really is if there's nothing else fishy going on here and she's just like self-sabotaging by making this like kind of, I don't even know what the right word is. More than annoying, just like, I don't know. She's making this all suspicious.
Yeah.
She's moving suspiciously.
Agreed.
And yeah, you can go ahead and just do it now. I'm gonna go hang out with Terry.
Yeah, like go hang out with someone else. Have fun. Don't do this. But there is a second update, folks. Okay, for context, we're both mid-30s. We've been dating around just under a year. From the get-go, I knew she took substances. I'm not a stranger to them myself. We had a conversation very early on, and she confirmed that she quite enjoys them on certain nights out. I said that I had enjoyed them more in the past, but still took part very infrequently. In the past couple of months, we've been to things together where we've taken a bit of MDMA together and generally had a good time. Recently, our relationship has been pretty off. We're in different cities at the moment and we argue a lot, mostly just silly communication things, but still we're susceptible to falling out a bit. Nothing has been particularly monumental to be relationship ending stuff, and for the most part, our fallouts are caused by us both wanting the same thing, the relationship, but communicating our needs poorly. We had a night out together recently and she took a bit of it. I had a suspicion when she got back from the toilet and asked her, and she confirmed. I said that I was a little disappointed because we had an agreement to tell each other these things before we did them, not after. She apologized. The night was good. I decided not to partake. That night at the hotel, we had a bit of a blowout about it in a relationship, trust, etc. She expressed that she should be trusted to do these things and that she knew that if she took it on a night out, that I would likely be really hurt by it. I said that the trust element was more important than it, but did say I didn't like it, found it icky thinking of her doing it and knowing a lot of people who effed up relationships by doing it. She has done it 5 times this year and assures me she only does so in very small amounts. On the journey back, we've been texting about our relationship. I communicated that I needed to see that she can stick to her word. I said I need to see that she remembers the things that she told me that she'll do and follow through to them. That trust and keeping our word is the most important thing to me in a relationship. This was off the back of the thing the night before, off my experience with my ex, and off the back of a few other conversations recently. She was very concerned that the relationship wasn't in as great of a place as it has been, and feels we perhaps both have been self-sabotaging it as it's starting to get more serious. Really lumping you in there.
I think she's just perceiving you having issues as having self-sabotaging tendencies.
Yeah, she's like, the fact that you're against me doing substances when I told you I wouldn't do them, or that I would tell you before I did them, is self-sabotaging. Like, you both agreed to that. You both agreed.
Yeah, this is just, at this point, it's just a story of like, what lines are you gonna allow to be crossed?
Yeah, and it seems like so far all of them. We spoke on the phone when I got off the train, and she told me that plans to see a friend for her birthday had come to fruition. She previously thought the friend would be too unwell. Our conversation around the relationship was cut short. I still wanted to offer more reassurance. She said that if her friend, notorious substance user, had a bag, that she wouldn't partake. I was grateful. Then I got off to a start, and she texted to say her friend did have a bag and that admittedly she was a little tempted, but she wouldn't because she knows how important it is to me. Over the course of the next 2 hours, she repeatedly said she might do it if it was okay for me. I said I'm not making that decision for her, that she knew the pros and cons either way. She knew the likelihood of it causing hurt, reminded her of all that she'd said the night previous, and reminded her that just hours ago she told me I was more important. She decided to do it. Told me before doing so, told me after doing so, and committed to keeping me updated throughout the night. Admittedly, I went to a really bad place. It reminded me of my cheating ex and how I would be drip-fed information or have things change suddenly on nights out. My head went to a place where if she was prepared to prioritize substances over safeguarding our relationship, what else was she prepared to do? Anyway, I couldn't sleep all night until I knew she was home safe. Her night out bars ended around 1 a.m., but she went back to the friend's house until 7 a.m. I was beside myself with completely irrational thoughts after the trust was broken. Like, has she taken a guy back there? Could they invite guys around later? What if they ordered more and the dealer did something horrible to them? What if one of them suffered a heart attack or health complications?
Okay, what if a meteor came down and hit them in the head? Like, what if? It's a wonderful question.
Well, yeah, I mean, but obviously OP is kind of spiraling.
Right.
But also, having a partner or like a friend, just a very close person in your life who is going down this very slippery slope, this very dangerous path, is scary. And you don't know what's going on. You don't know where they are.
Yeah.
I'm not proud to say I was really quite needy in terms of texting her. It genuinely was all innocent enough. Just the two of them sat chatting and dancing and apparently being quite positive about me, our relationship. I sent her a message in the morning explaining how upset I was that she'd acknowledged how important not doing it was to me, then decided to do it anyway, predicting my pain, then doing the thing that would inflict it. I said I wasn't expecting her to give up substances for life, but just hoping she'd been a little bit more sensitive to the relationship dynamic at the moment and make a decision for us rather than her. She called me like 15 times when she woke up. I was still asleep, not having gone to sleep until 7 a.m. Texted me saying how sorry she was, and when we finally spoke on the phone, said that she was consumed with regret. She asked me if I could forgive her, and I said I could, but that I couldn't go back to that headspace ever again. And if ever there was a specific promise made by her with a connection to me or the relationship, I won't do X because you're more important, that she broke, I would likely be gone. She texted me saying she had made the decision never to do substances again.
God, come on, dude. What do you want? What do you need to hear? I feel like the OP's love language is like all words and reassurance and all this stuff, and
With
it's
no
like
actual fall through.
But it's, if you're dating the, spicy flower party girl, you're going to have to maybe be cool with that kind of activity going on in her life.
I also think it's totally fine for you not to be okay with that.
Right.
But at that point, if she says, yeah, I won't do it, and then she does it, and she keeps, there's a pattern of that happening.
Right.
Maybe this relationship isn't built to last.
Exactly. Just be not okay with it. Like, just pick.
That's
if
fine.
you're not okay with it, then don't be, and figure it out from there. But it feels like you're just trying to make her, like you're trying to compress her into like the version of her that you're idealizing. Mm-hmm. And it's like it's just a waste.
You can totally have a conversation with her and say like, hey, I'm worried about your substance use. This seems like a really unhealthy path you're down, but you can't force her to do anything. Mm-hmm. That is a choice that all addicts have to make on their own, and for themselves. And you can, be there and be supportive and help her and offer advice and, everything, but she's an adult.
I didn't hear no lies.
I had said to her the night before not to make this promise as it will feel hollow. And she said similar before when she's hungover, which never comes to fruition. Don't get my hopes up and say you'll never do it again. I asked that she not commit to that in this state and instead give it some real consideration before saying she was going to do something rather than risking breaking another promise. Whereas her text said, I'll never touch this stuff again. And you're more important than substances. The most important. She's since adjusted this to clarify that it is only spicy flower that she's swearing off, not other substances. MD, for instance, because you've never had a problem with that. And now she's just going to find workarounds. Anyway, in the days following, she has not necessarily withdrawn her apology, but she thinks that I overreacted a little and seems concerned that I will now have an issue with her going on nights out. She has said that she's worried about me finding an opportunity to end things if she breaks the tiniest little promise in the future. She asked what the repercussions would be if, for instance, having sworn off spicy flour now, we decided in a year or so's time, when the trust has been rebuilt, to reintroduce it into our lives. I gave up all substances when I was in my past relationship of circa 10 years, and I think she's worried I'm going to expect her to do the same in this one. My partner asked me to, and I obliged because I saw that the relationship had potential and narcotics have zero net gain, so it was an easy choice. Which is a great lesson for you, OP, because you have done it. You have had a partner ask what you're asking of your partner, but in that situation, you said, yeah, and then followed through. Your partner right now, you've asked her, she's not following through, so the relationship is good. Gone.
Right. It's
gone.
just, you need to go, like Lime Pancakes in the chat says, just break up. It's like, yeah, you just need to go, look, babe, clearly you can't stop lying to me about this stuff, and because I can't tolerate you lying to me about stuff, I'm gone.
I've said it feels like it and going out are more important to her than I am. She said that she doesn't want to relinquish her autonomy and that she feels I'm being controlling and should be paying more attention to how loyal she is as a partner. Basically saying you're acting like I cheated, and telling me with her friend's assistance and proof in terms of screenshots between her and her friend how she essentially refuses to interact with men on nights out. Essentially, look, I slipped up, but it isn't an indicator that I'm gonna cheat. I can't get my head past that moment in the night where she must have thought, this is gonna hurt him / have implications, but I'm gonna do it anyway and face the consequences tomorrow. I don't know if my past is making this way worse than it needs to be, or if this broken promise really is a big deal. Am I overreacting? And there are some relevant comments. Lintho says, hey dude, I've seen your other posts. There is an issue in your relationship and it's not just her actions. She doesn't respect you. Every time you have posted has been around her trickle truthing you and lying. At what point do you value yourself and walk away? At what point is her mistreating you enough? This goes beyond misunderstandings. She has repeatedly, consistently disrespected your boundaries and lied to you. You even say yourself that she says she'll quit, but doesn't mean it, yet still lies and says she will anyway. You're a boiling frog, bud. Jump out of the pot. Magdovus says, I think there's a fundamental issue that she isn't addressing. The basic fact is that you can't trust her word, and she doesn't seem to care about that. She's willing to immediately start to row back on her promises when she realizes she doesn't want to keep them. And there is a third update. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, there's been some commenters, and I think that I'm not sure who said this one, but it feels like he is in addiction recovery.
Yeah.
Or that he has recovered from it or managed it or, conquered it, and she has not. So it's just two people in fundamentally opposing positions.
I think also he has a totally different experience with substances than she does.
Well, yeah, he just made it sound like straight logic. He's like, oh,
yeah,
of course I could stop doing it. It has no benefit.
I don't think he was ever addicted. I think he enjoyed it. From what I'm reading, it feels like he literally was like, yeah, and so I stopped, and it was that easy.
God, I hope he doesn't really think that that's
a
universal experience, because you got to understand that that's not the case, right?
I think he does. I think that's where the miscommunication in this relationship is happening, because I think that he thinks that she can just quit.
Right.
And I think she doesn't understand that she's addicted.
And then it all just becomes a character and a moral issue. It's like,
why are you lying to me? Why do you keep doing
it?
And it's like she's literally addicted and doesn't realize it, and he doesn't realize it. So they're in this hole.
Yeah, again, the Queen of England is on the phone with her and she's still not.
Yeah.
And she's dead. That's the ghost of the Queen of England. The ghost of the Queen calls you and you still don't listen?
And you lied to her? But no, addiction MO is lying.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a problem in a very early relationship because I was ripping darts. So I'm gonna say that in a way that I hope any youths don't understand.
I don't understand it.
I was in Marlboro country and I was quitting in a relationship, and I told my partner, I was like, I won't. And then I did. And guess what? Created a big fight. So yeah, just I don't know, both sides, just don't lie about it. And also understand that it's not really about you in that moment.
No, but that does not mean that you do not have a right to be upset or want to end the relationship.
Doesn't negate your feelings.
Not at all. But it's not.
It'll just make you feel less bad because you're feeling like, oh, this person I care about doesn't care about me at all. It's really not true.
No.
So, but anyway.
There is a third update.
We're talking about flour with a U. Spicy flat nose clams. Talking about nose clams fresh off the truck.
My post history gives a little background on our relationship. Some of the posts have been in here. We had some issues toward the end of last year. They got worse before they got better, and we nearly called it quits at the end of January. But then they did get better. We've had some really lovely times since. A lot of the issues, me feeling like I wasn't a priority in her life, went away, or at least were muted. A lot stayed. We argued on average every 9 days. The thing I find toughest is that most of the arguments are rooted in insecurity. On the deepest level, she's just scared that I'll leave and would seemingly rather that either control that herself or at least perpetually test me to see if I'm safe. Perhaps it's easier to live with having blown the thing up yourself than facing what it feels like to have someone decide you weren't enough. I just wish I could have made her feel safe enough. I know she couldn't help it. That's the toughest part. She just wanted to be nice, to be good, to feel safe. I really wish it could have worked. For clarity, I left her. The final disagreement was she sent me a spicy photo and then got very upset when I said I'd reciprocate the following day. Apparently, I should have instantly replied with one. I just wasn't feeling too great, and she sent it on once view, so I could barely get in the mood before I thought best to reply and tell her how schmexy she looked. I get it's not great sort of forcing someone into that, but for me, more than anything, it was just another argument that didn't need to happen. The straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing. She later said her actions make her feel disgusted. She begged for another chance. I stayed strong, but then she asked if we could talk hours later. And when I agreed, she said she'd given it some thought and we should break up. I guess that helps her process it. It's been amicable since. Her being level-headed in sorting out logistics makes me miss the version of her that isn't volatile and wonder what could have been. By the way, you never have to wonder about full episodes of stories like this because you can go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Do you have any final thoughts, Dakota?
Good job. You broke up. It's probably for the best.
I think so.
Yeah, just,
I mean, it was amicable. You guys realized you guys are not right for each other.
Find a little type A cutie for you.
Yeah.
Okay? Find someone who can also logic their way out of addiction, which is insane.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it doesn't seem like substance use was a deal breaker for OP, but I think that you should kind of, while you're out of a relationship, you should kind of like think about it and think about what if maybe all substances are deal breakers.
I think it was more just he needed to be priority one.
Absolutely, but I think
it was
also,
like
it seems like he is pretty anti that specific substance, which is fair. That can be like a thing in the future. You can be like, wow, I had a past relationship where someone like kept putting the substance ahead of me. I don't really want that in the next one.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit left to the story.
Look at the sky.
It's tough. I'm not even sure what I want from this post. I guess I wanted to update those who helped when I needed it previously. So there was some conclusion to the story. And also kind of wondering, am I overreacting to the breakup? Or was I overreacting in breaking up with her? I'm sure people will jump on the past stories and the photo thing and say I'm better off without, but I really could see the good in her. It's a shame. Anyway, it helps to talk about it. And relevant comments to finish this story off. Membership decent. Ugh, I used to be this girl. I had a lot of defense mechanisms like this and responded the same way. You can become the sum of your problems, or you can be better than your problems. And that is the end of that story, folks.